Jeremy Sockman here, back again to expose a little seen movie that you might stumble across one day and wonder if it's any good. Instead of wasting time wondering, if you hang on a few minutes, I'll tell you. It's the Jitters from 1989, starring no one you'd know except maybe James Hong. This one reveals a lot more than it intended to about its making of, so let's take a look. Alice leaves. Uncle Frank takes out a gang of toughs roughing up his store, only to get thrown through a window right into the great beyond. But he died with some unfinished business and comes back as a Guianxi, or Jiangxi, or hopping Chinese vampire. He's out for revenge, but the Tony Yang Sr. and Jr. operation calms him with some Chinese magic. Seems there's all kinds of vampires getting made during all this gang turmoil, and the Yangs are the resident vampire hunters. But Alice's guy pal Michael doesn't buy it, and almost blows the whole thing when he lets one of the pacified vampire kids loose to raise a little ruckus. Don't worry though, they stop him.
Come on! What do you take me for? Alice, I mean it. These guys have got you swallowing this entire act. Or you think you just... What?
But Leech's evil gang isn't going to let a little thing like hopping vampires stop them. They want Uncle Frank's secret stash and kidnap Alice to get it. Things come to a head when, spoiler alert, Mike and his pals unleash their own gang of hopping vampires to deal with the street punks in a back alley brawl under the cover of street lights and fog machines. Then Mike and Alice get to live happily ever after, running a tiny trinket store in rundown Chinatown.
Whole lot of that Chinatown magic going on.
Now, even though The Jitters was made in 1989, it would have fit right in today's Hollywood. Why? Because this movie wasn't content to just have some vampires and some street punks. It had to bow to Chinese pressure and do its part for what the great leader of the party wanted to see. Now, China might seem pretty far away, all tucked away on the other end of a Bugs Bunny tunnel. But it's got a big shadow and lots of cash. If you don't do what they want, you can't show your movie on all those screens. So the makers of The Jitters sold out their principles for a few won.
Soon all will become clear. I like the sound of that.
This is set in the USA, but 90% of the cast is Chinese. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's changing the vampires to Guianxi, or Jiangxi, that's the real problem here. What's wrong with the classics? Dracula, Nosferatu, Tom Cruise, you know, the good old-fashioned American vampires from Eastern Europe we all know and love. Coffins, bats, wooden stakes. Instead, we get funny hats, pogo jumping, and post-it note magic spells. I get it, guys. You desperately want to give the People's Party what they want. But there's a whole country here that might like a movie they can relate to, too.
There! Beside you!
Still not convinced? Consider the ending where Mike quits his finance job to go work at his fiance's store. He leaves the Western world to go work for the Chinese. Hello? Isn't this just what Chairman Mao wants? For us all to work for him?
What do we do? What do we do?
I don't know. I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought.
So in the end, while the Jitters might have a few kung fu fights, a Jiangxi shedding its skin to go full lizard monster, and no less than 2 window breaks, it's also a sad attempt to pander to a fat wad of bills waved in their face by someone with an agenda. Well, this is one sock who won't let the classics get erased in favor of the Supreme Leader's wishes, and if you don't want Count Dracula to be replaced by
Count Chinkula.
Whoa, dude, not cool. What I was trying to say was that if you don't want those sweet capes and fancy shirts to be erased for party-approved vampire attire, then you should steer well clear of this movie. That's why I'm Jeremy Sockman, and I'm giving the pogo stick zombie movie The Jitters a hard pass.
You become undead.
Guianxi.
Kind of like a Chinese version of a vampire. A Chinese vampire?
That's right. 1 hour after he bites you, he wants to bite you again.
Give me jitters. Restless night down in Chinatown, haunted by an urge I can't explain. Ginseng air, themes hopping everywhere. A shake so bad.